if you know how to do things organically, it just ads become fuel on the fire. I built a multi-million-dollar business with a team. It wasn't just by myself, but that was all organically. And we actually just started 2 months ago running ads to put some fuel on the fire.
No way. So the first 7 figures, the first million was generated mostly organically, if not all organically?
All organically. We had not run a single ad before 7 figures.
Hey guys, welcome to this special episode of The Passionate Few. We're here during quarantine with none other than Andrew KROEZE, and I'm excited to bring Andrew on because he's an online entrepreneur. He's built from zero to a multi-million-dollar coaching business, helping people all over the world build their own tribes, their own tribe of buyers. And not only is he a 7-figure CEO, but he helps other people build their businesses to those levels as well. And what's unique about Andrew is that he's actually done it with a huge base and organic reach, meaning he knows how to build audiences, how to get them from zero, and how to group them so that not only can you serve an audience, but you can build it organically and create that leverage and opportunity for life. So I'm excited to have Andrew on. Thank you so much, man. It's exciting to have you on.
Cool, man. Thank you so much for having me, Omar. Excited to be here.
Absolutely, brother. So first question I wanted to ask you, what does it mean to have a tribe of buyers, and why is it so important in the digital age more than ever to not just, rent your audience, but actually own your audience, own a group of people who know, like, and trust you?
Yeah, totally. I kind of stumbled across it. So where I started was I was working a 9-to-5 job in Chicago. Knew I was meant for more in my life, and set a goal to quit drinking and to lose 20 pounds in 90 days, and ended up accomplishing that goal. And then I had so much confidence, I quit my job. I moved from Chicago to Cleveland and moved back in with my parents to start running Facebook ads for local businesses. Just bought Dan Henner's course, Facebook Ads for Entrepreneurs, and started doing that. Grew my agency super quick. And I did it kind of in a unique way where I would go door to door, go to chiropractors, go to gyms, go to restaurants and get clients that way. And then I documented my journey on my personal profile at first. And I was interacting in other Facebook groups. So I started started accumulating a following of people just engaging with my stuff, because I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I was just interacting in other Facebook groups. People would add me as friends. I was documenting my journey on my personal profile and started amassing this following. And then I opened up a Facebook group to document my journey more, and people started asking me for coaching and courses on how to land agency deals. And I launched a beta course and put it at $800, sold 8 spots, and made $6,400 in one day.
Wow.
And that totally changed how I looked at marketing and sales, where my original offer was running done for you Facebook ads and going door to door and just by myself. And I was making 10K, 15K per month, but that was so much more leveraged. And I realized, holy crap, I love coaching so much more because I can see the transformation in the person, how they change their thoughts, feelings, and actions, and become a totally different person compared to an agency where I didn't see that. Like, I was helping change the business and helping them grow, but I wasn't really helping people change on an individual level. So I fell in love with that. So that's kind of how I fell into the building an online tribe organically, and the coaching space, which I'm still in. That was just 2.5 years ago. From zero, from $600 in my bank account and $82,000 in student loan debt, to paying that off and having a multi-million-dollar business now. I worked really fucking hard for it. It wasn't easy, but I didn't know that was going to be so powerful. That growing an organic audience from just interacting in Facebook groups, people following me on my personal profile, and then opening up a Facebook group was going to be so powerful. And then people started joining my Facebook group just because I had a solid Facebook group name, which was the 6-figure digital marketer, because I was making 6 figures through my agency. And then it just kind of, the momentum took over, and it just grew like crazy. So where a lot of people start are ads, which are really good to put fuel on the fire to really drive the organic. Most people that are running ads are making the majority of their money on the back end in email or getting them to the Facebook group. So it's critical that you have your organic dialed and you already have your tribe of buyers before you start running ads. Some people tend to do it backwards. But if you know how to do things organically, it just ads become fuel on the fire. And I built a multi-million-dollar business with a team. It wasn't just by myself, but I had to learn how to grow a team. But that was all organically. And we actually just started 2 months ago running ads to put some fuel on the fire.
No way. So the first 7 figures, the first million was generated mostly organically, if not all organic?
All organically. We had not run a single ad before 7 figures.
Wow. And so essentially what you're saying, just so that people can understand, is you're saying that on Facebook, you can create Facebook groups, which some of our audience may or may not know. It's totally free to create a Facebook group. Yeah. And essentially, you naturally attracted a tribe of buyers by documenting your story inside of the Facebook group. You were just documenting what you were already doing. I want to ask you, at that time where you were doing it, did you have the intent to maybe do something down the road? Or what was your seed of intent? Like, oh, let's just see what happens. Let's see if I can build a little following around it, and maybe I can offer product or service. You know, what was your, and a quick question, when you sold your first course to that group for $800 and sold 8 spots and made 6,400, did you have to do a webinar, or did you have to do any of that stuff, or not really, because your organic audience already kind of knew you and trusted you?
Yeah, no, I started it because I just really enjoyed documenting it, and the feeling of getting engagement. Like, I hate to say it, but it was feeling really good as my audience was growing and I was getting more engagement. And then I was seeing other people that were doing these quote unquote launch posts, like saying, hey, I have this thing to offer, just comment down below. And that's what I did for my first beta. So I had this following and I'm like, I can throw something together. I can coach people for 6 weeks and see if I can get them to this point. And I just put up a post. I didn't have any emails. I didn't do a webinar. I didn't do anything fancy. It was simply, hey, I'm taking on 8 people for the next 6 weeks. I'm going to help you go through X, Y, and Z. This is what we're going through the next 6 weeks. If you're interested, comment down below and I'll reach out. And that initial launch, I actually sent them over an application, which we don't do anymore. But I sent them over an application in a Google form, and we had like 100 people comment or something like that on that post. And I think only like 20 or 15 filled out the form. And then I hopped on some sales calls for that over the next day. Some people bought, I think it was 6 people bought right away. And then I hopped on a few sales calls, and then we got 8 people in. But yeah, it was just a simple post. There's nothing complicated about it.
And you pre-sold the course, right? You didn't create it yet?
No, I didn't. I had an outline created in a Trello board. This is what I was going to teach on week 1. This is what I was going to teach on week 2. I didn't have like a course area set up. All I had was a private Facebook group. That was it. It was really janky. But one of our clients, Phil Naylor, scaled from 0 to 18,000, made $18,000 in those 6 weeks. And like, I was not expecting that. And just full transparency with everybody, not everybody had great results. There were people that didn't make money over the 6 weeks, but I fully supported them, and I showed up every single day, and they felt taken care of. That was the main thing, that they felt like they were improving and they were growing. And they were super happy with the investment because they felt taken care of. I didn't have all of my shit together, but I could solve a few problems in their life. I was not the expert, but I could solve a few problems. And worked out really, really well. It was just about taking imperfect action and putting one step in front of the other. And it kind of just grew into something huge.
I love that, dude. Now, when you first got that was your first batch of course sales, right?
Yeah.
Did it open up a possibility? Because a lot of people in our community knows about Russell, and I know everybody in me and you's community knows Russell. I mean, he's the godfather of what's modern day online marketing. And for those interested in the One Funnel Away Challenge to learn how to make money online, there's a link below. You guys can try it if you haven't heard of ClickFunnels. But can you talk to me about your first introduction to thinking like, oh wow, I can turn my knowledge into income? Because a lot of people have limited beliefs, and I don't know if you can remember. I know my first course sale, I was like blown away, like, oh my God. Like, did you have a moment like that where it was like your mind was blown and you saw like, oh my God, like this is the possibility? Because a lot of people have limited beliefs. Who would buy from me? Would anybody ever really buy? Am I, because at that time you weren't a 7-figure entrepreneur, right? So I'm
Yeah.
sure you had limited beliefs. Obviously the Facebook group counteracted that, but I just want to zoom in there because there might be people about to make that leap of creating their first digital product and they might not believe it's possible. Can you go back to that moment and what it opened up for you the moment you got your first sale?
Yeah, so I don't even think it was that sale. I think there had to be things leading up to that post that made it possible. And I
Right.
think what made it possible was I tried an online store, a drop shipping store, and that was like my first like online business I tried out. Didn't sell anything for like 4 freaking months. And then
Yeah.
I got my first $17 sale, which was for this janky bracelet that like I had somebody post on Instagram about it. That made it possible. Like looking at my phone and seeing like what is it, a Shopify notification come through for $17, and I was like, oh, I made money online. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that was my first online sale. That made my next step possible of making a sale for my agency or running Facebook ads for local businesses. And I got $1,000 check from a coffee shop owner. And then that was like, oh my God, yay, I did that. And that was like 3 or 4 months later. And then after that, about 6 or 7 months later, I made that beta launch post.
Mhm.
And that's where the $6,400 in one day came in.
Mhm.
So it was just taking imperfect action, failing over and over and over. And honestly, man, I think one thing that really helped was stopping drinking. Like the drug of choice for entrepreneurs is momentum. And for me, I was a heavy drinker. I was drinking 3, 4 nights a week, and I was killing my momentum, killing my growth
Mhm.
by just coping with drinking. I didn't realize that at the time, but I was really just coping with my emotions while drinking.
Mhm.
And when I eliminated that, my momentum just like took over. And I think it's Ed Milet that always talks about like making promises to yourself and keeping promises to yourself. Like
Right.
that is ultimately what builds confidence and momentum.
Mhm.
And I didn't keep every promise to myself, but I kept making more promises and keeping more promises to myself. And
Mhm.
that's ultimately where the momentum took over. And now what I do, and I'm kind of going on a tangent here, not based off of your question, but now what I do is I put 3 things on my whiteboard every single day that I'm going to get done, that I'm committed to, that's going to move the needle in my personal life and my business. And then I put 3 workouts on my whiteboard that I'm going to get done while I'm in quarantine every single day. And those are the promises to myself every single day. And I don't go to bed until I get those 3 things done.
Mhm.
And I make sure that they're things that I can get done in that day. They're not big projects, but they're things I know I can get done.
Or
And I think
steps.
that's what,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's what really builds my momentum is just making promises to myself that I know I can keep,
Mhm.
and just getting 1% better every single day by making those promises and keeping those promises.
Dude, I love that. And what I love about your story too is that like a lot of people get intimidated with ads. And you're a perfect example of somebody who's built a multi-million-dollar business, the first million of which was pure organic. And it
Yeah.
goes to show that you essentially, instead of wasting money on ads that you're not sure are going to ROI, it's like you built a community to really build those roots deep. So there's a bigger margin for error, so to speak, if you don't do the webinar or you don't know how to run ads or whatever. You can provide value in a way that you know how, that your audience over a sustained period of time can get to know, like, and trust you. And the reason I wanted to bring you on is because you've also consulted me. So for the
Mhm.
audience listening, I back what Andrew's talking about, and I back what he's doing 100%. Now, I want to ask you this. When it comes to organically growing a Facebook group, what are some things, what are like the biggest mistakes you see people make and some things that you recommend people do? So I guess first question is, what should people not do when it comes to starting a Facebook group around a product or service or movement they want to start? And what should they do instead? I want to start with the mistakes just so people can kind of get mental awareness of that. What are some mistakes you see?
By far, the biggest mistake that people make when starting a Facebook group is not fully committing to it. Fully accepting that there are going to be posts that flop and don't go well. And the main thing is don't beat yourself up over it. Facebook groups need to be committed to and need to be nourished, or else they're not going to work. You need to commit to it, meaning posting every single day. What I do now is like, I just have so much content that I can just copy and paste and post. It becomes easier over time, big time. But it's the biggest payoff that you can do right off the bat, because like you're testing so much stuff in your Facebook group as well. Some things are going to flop, but the beautiful thing about that is you don't need to be perfect. You're not putting money into ads and not getting any return. You are testing out your messaging. You're testing out what works with your audience. So the main thing is show up every single day, and be there to serve, be there to provide value. You have an opportunity here to bring people together, like to create a community that connects like-minded people. I bet the majority of people that are listening are in a Facebook group right now and have met somebody in a Facebook group that they've really connected with. By creating a Facebook group that's engaged, you're providing that opportunity to the world, is helping people connect and find like-minded people. And it makes this world a much better place by helping like-minded people connect. So another big thing is naming the Facebook group. So the name of your Facebook group is the difference between 100 people finding your Facebook group per day and asking to join, meaning 100 free leads per day, and just one person joining. It's the name of your Facebook group. And where I've screwed up in the past, transparently and honestly with everybody, and where I've seen a lot of people screw up, is trying to be fancy with the name and add in their own intellectual property and make it sound super sexy, when really your Facebook group name should just be about what the person wants, right? What's the end benefit that they want? Like we help coaches scale past 7 figures with systems team and organic marketing. And we also have another program that is specifically for the group growth. It's called Group Growth and Monetization Blueprint. It's all on the tribeofbuyers.com website if you want to check those out. But where our Facebook group name is 7-Figure Business Scaling Secrets, right? So our main offer is helping coaches scale past 7 figures with systems team, all of that stuff. So we want to attract those people in our Facebook group. So those overlap, right? The promise of our core offer and what we want to do, and the promise of the Facebook group. Where we screwed up is our business name is Tribe of Buyers, and we put that in our Facebook group name at one point, and we saw people, like, nobody was joining our Facebook group anymore because they didn't know what the hell a Tribe of Buyers was, right? So don't get fancy with it. Just share with people what they want and put that in the Facebook group name. Another one, Blake Newbar. So I was working with him, and his big thing is freedom fighters. And what we put on his Facebook group name was build your next $1 million funnel, right? That's what people want to do. So that little change can add a lot more organic traffic to your Facebook group. And mind you, you do not need to be in the make money online space. We have Andrew and Zach Sartori that have a Facebook group of over 20,000 people, and their Facebook group is Gay Men Thriving, helping gay men date and thrive in their personal lives. We have a tattoo artist, and his Facebook group is Tattoo Artist Mastery, and then there's a colon and a description after that. So you do not need to be in the make money online space. But just make sure your Facebook group name is that end result that they really, really want.
So what percentage, I love that you bring that up, because what percentage of it is going to be you driving traffic for people listening going, oh, wow, like, okay, starting a Facebook group sounds like something I'm interested in. You know, I can start it for free. There's a low barrier to entry. And you can always pivot the name, right? I mean, there's a limitation of how many times you can pivot the Facebook group name. So although you want to be, you know, intelligent with it when you choose it, I think they let you switch it like 3 times in a 90-day period or something.
Yeah, and if anybody gets anything out of this, know that you can pivot over and over and over. I used to be the agency guy, then I was the messenger bots guy, then I was the Facebook groups guy, and now I'm like the coaching scaling business guy. And we've changed our Facebook group name 6 different times. So,
Right.
and over the last 2.5, 3 years, I've just like, I love learning. I used to not be this way. I used to never read. I used to never like try to improve myself. I used to drink like crazy. And it's just like what I brought up earlier. I caught momentum and I've just been riding it ever since. So if there is anybody out there struggling or somebody that's burnt out right now, like I burnt out in 2018, end of 2018, I was making 40 to 50K per month for my Facebook group, just by myself. And I thought that was normal at the time because I
Wow.
saw everybody else's Stripe screenshots on the news feed and I'm like, oh, they're all killing it. And I thought they were solo entrepreneurs. No, they all had a team. But I was bringing in 40 to 50K per month with like 95% profit margins. And a lot of that went to taxes because I didn't know anything about that. But I burnt out and I quit drinking coffee and I went to a Buddhist monastery for a week and rediscovered my values and my purpose and all of that. And then 2019, my business took off because I realized it's all about having a vision for your business and having the team that creates the how. So I built a team around me that could really drive the vision in 2019. And we had our first $1 million year. We did $1.1 million. And then this year we're on track to do $3 million. And that I wouldn't be here without a team. But it comes in phases. So definitely start off with dream and hustle and motivation and taking imperfect action, and don't go to burnout. Try to avoid burnout by learning how to delegate properly, by setting a vision, by motivating people, by leadership, by setting KPIs, by putting systems in your business, by knowing how to work Asana or project management system. Because that's ultimately how you'll scale to 7 figures. 6 figures can be pure hustle. It can be all yourself. It can be all organic. And 7 figures can be all organic as well. But at some point, if you want to scale that big, you're going to need a team. So
Yeah, no, that makes total sense with the team. Now, in terms of you actually really gaining momentum, how long have you been an online entrepreneur, and what was your biggest lull? I mean, there hasn't been a single entrepreneur I've interviewed that hasn't told me that there was like 1 or 2 or 3 years of just getting beat up. Every idea they tried, you know, they tried this or they tried that or they failed, and it could be longer. For you, when did your journey with online entrepreneurship start? And when, like, what was your biggest lull of like, you try something and it failed, you try something and it failed, or did you get some pretty good momentum and wins pretty early on?
So I did a lot of things that tanked. Like I brought up like the online store. There were so many days where I was doing door-to-door sales for my Facebook ads agency where I just sat in the car. I'm like, I feel like shit. I feel beat up. I don't want to go in there. So many days like that. There were, I've done launches that have flopped. Like there have been plenty of times like that. So to give you a little timeline, April 2017 was when I decided that I was going to just totally change my life. That I was going to quit drinking and I was going to lose 20 pounds. And during that time, I ran a 5K and I hit the gym every day. And I was working from home. So I asked my boss if I could work from home. At the time, I was selling Microsoft Dynamics and Salesforce in Chicago.
Mhm.
And I did the whole 4-hour work week Tim Ferriss thing where I was trying to remove myself from that business but still have that income.
Right.
And that's when I just dove into the online space and tried to learn everything that I could. And I tried Amazon FBA. Um, I tried an drop shipping store. I looked into SMMA and bought Ty Lopez's course as well, all of that stuff. Um, and I just took massive imperfect action and got to the point where I just burned the boats and said, I'm going to move back in with my parents and quit my job and just start running Facebook ads for local businesses. And my first client that paid me the $1,000, the coffee shop,
Mhm.
was because I went to my friend's house for a bonfire, and her dad was drunk just talking to me, and I was talking to like, hey, I'm running Facebook ads now. Like I just bought a course like a month ago.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, well, can you run them for me? I'm like, heck yeah. And he's like, well, how much do I owe you? And I'm like, $1,000. And
Yeah.
he's like, sweet. And he gave me the check. But what
Wow.
led up to that was me just constantly talking about that to everybody. He was not the first person that I told.
Mhm.
But lesson here is if you're starting on something, just tell everybody what you're doing, right? And then opportunities will come out of that.
Mhm. Wow, dude, that's incredible. Now, in terms of the first deal, that first thing, how old were you at that time, and how old are you now? Like, just so the audience's context.
Yeah, so that was first deal was August of 2017. So I was 24. Yeah, I'm 27 now. So I was 24.
Nice, and it literally in a matter of 3 years, like things
Yeah.
changed like
And,
that.
yeah, and at that point when I was 24, I had $600 in my bank account and I was 800 or I keep saying that, $82,000 in student loan debt. And that was August of 2017. And then I had a launch in my Facebook group, my second launch in February of 2018. So about 6 months later, and made $62,000 and paid the rest of my student loan debt off.
Wow, dude, that's incredible. And then you learned about taxes.
Then I learned about taxes, and I'm like, shit, that's a lot of money going to the government.
Very cool, man. Now, all right, I want to ask, when it comes to Facebook groups, what are some things that the audience might want to know in terms of when do you provide value? When can you offer products and services? You mentioned posting every day. And I know privately, you also told me one way to run the Facebook group, aside from building a team that can help fulfill it, just so that it's not all on you and you getting burned out or overwhelmed. You know, you can have people help you in terms of paying someone to take care of it, manage it, and that way, you know, you have help. But in terms of, talk to me in terms of like when you have a Facebook group, how do you recommend people run the ratio of which they're adding value, offering coaching, offering courses? What's a schedule or timeline or a way to pace it so you can really maximize the benefit in serving your Facebook group audience? Did you, for example, for yours, did you warm yours up for a couple weeks or a couple months before you offered a product or services? Helping people, what have you noticed works in regards to that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the main thing is like right now, how we structure our Facebook group, I go live twice a week, but the content is curated by my team. So we have a schedule and we have a team member that creates the copy for us and puts it in the Facebook group. And we have people on the team that are just chatting up with people in the group, seeing if they're a good fit for one of our programs, right? So I'm pretty hands off with the Facebook group now. But when I was just starting out, the biggest thing is give away the farm. I know some people might hate me for that, but really you want to make sure that your people in your Facebook group feel cared for, and people can feel if you're holding shit back and you're just teasing them, teasing them, teasing them. And if you feel like you don't have enough like to give, good, give it. And then that will force you to level up. Come from a place of abundance and not scarcity. Because when you give it out, you're going to be like, oh, I need to learn more. And you open up a book or buy a next course or yada, yada, yada to learn more and be able to deliver more. So what I did was I grew my Facebook group from 0 to 1,000 members in 5 weeks. And that is very doable if you're interacting in a bunch of other Facebook groups. Very, very doable. I launched my first post on my personal profile. So that first beta launch was actually on my personal profile because I was concerned about like being too salesy inside of my Facebook group at first.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would recommend. Build up your audience on your personal profile and in your Facebook group, and launch. If you want to sell on your personal profile, because it becomes less douchey. Your Facebook profile is for you. Your Facebook group is for the community and creating that movement and bringing people together. Now I sell on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, like a very direct sales post. But we have a bigger group now. We have over 15,000 members. But yeah, I would say really focus on creating that movement, the raving fans, the foundation, because if you do that, like you're set up for your life. You're good.
So do you post, and I remember you told me something to the effect of like, you guys will post like sometimes like Monday accountability, Wednesday check-in, Friday celebrate goals. Do you guys have stuff like that? And do you recommend stuff like that to retain your audience? I mean, how do you, when people are starting to get more and more involved in different Facebook groups, how do you hold their attention? Is it accountability? Are you finding that really works? I mean,
so when I was coaching you about those 3 posts, we post those in our private Facebook groups for our clients to hold them accountable and to help them navigate. Like our posts on Monday in our private Facebook groups for our clients are, hey, what's your focus for this week? And based off their responses, our coaches say, hey, you should watch these videos, right?
gotcha.
And then Wednesday's check-in, and then Friday is a post on wins for the week. That cadence works really well in a private Facebook group. For the free Facebook group, to grow your audience and to nurture them, what works really, really well are interviews and trainings right off the bat. So the day before you do an interview or training, you can make a simple post. Hey, do you want to learn X? Do you want to learn how to set up a Facebook ad so you get your first sale in the first 2 hours? I don't know. That was just random. But you do that, you get people to comment, and then you can tag those people in the Facebook Live that you do the next day on that training, or for an interview, do the same thing. Hype post the day before, and then do the interview. And the people that you can interview, you can ask them to promote the Facebook Live, which gets more people into your Facebook group. So those 2 things work really, really well. And another thing is ask for engagement. So constantly be asking people to comment, constantly be asking people to engage. So a simple like question, hey, what's your favorite podcast? Boom, get a bunch of engagement, get that in there. That's another little thing. Ask people to engage. And when you ask a question, answer the question as well. Because when I ask, hey, what's your favorite podcast? And I say, my favorite podcast is The Passionate Few.
Hey.
And then when people start listening to The Passionate Few, they're thinking about me, right? Or thinking about you when you put your answer in there. So it's not about just what happens in the Facebook group, but it's how can I like really provide value to these people and have them thinking about me outside of the Facebook group, right? You want to stay top of mind. You want to have that Trump effect, right?
Nice. Dude, that's powerful. And then in terms of growing the Facebook group, pretty much it's a combination of collaborating with people, like you said, doing interviews, doing value posts, but also organic. And you talked about optimizing the name of your Facebook group and the positioning of it to attract organic. Anything else as it relates to growing a Facebook group that maybe you've learned or seen change in the last year or so, or I guess trend, maybe somebody who's watching this in 2020 or 2021, how should they be thinking about growth in their Facebook group long-term? Not just, I love that at the top of the interview, you mentioned that it's a commitment. It's not you just try it for a month or 2 and see what happens. It's really like, hey, you can really build a base. You can more than just collect leads and build an audience. but you can really literally build a tribe of people that no matter what products or services you go to, you obviously know they have an interest in what you're doing. So what advice do you have for people, aside from what you shared, about how to grow it if maybe they're not on Facebook a lot, or maybe this would be their first foray into Facebook? What percentage of it is you trying to drive opportunity? Do you use your main Facebook with calls to action to the group? I mean, I'm just trying to ask for the people who have a flurry of questions. I know I threw a lot at you there, but what's the easy way to mentally answer that so people can feel relaxed about, like, okay, I can grow this, I can do this?
Yeah, so I have a free 5-day group growth and engagement challenge inside of our Facebook group, 7-Figure Business Scaling Secrets. I'd love to give you the link and you can share that down below. But
Oh, awesome.
I walk you through like the actual visuals of like how you move traffic from other Facebook groups onto your personal profile and then into your Facebook group, and exactly what you should post inside of your Facebook group to get engagement and to really create that movement and following. And I think that will answer a lot of those questions.
Very cool, man. I appreciate that. And you guys, if you want access to that, you can click the link below. We'll have it down there. And also, if you guys want to follow Andrew, get in touch. We'll put some of his social media handles there as well. Andrew, any final pieces of advice to entrepreneurs out there, online entrepreneurs who, want to make their life work, whether it's, you going from 0 to multiple 7 figures in your mid to late 20s? That's a pretty awesome feat, man. Congrats on your success and congrats on your growth. But any words of wisdom you have for people? Some people are in their 20s, some people are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, at any age. What advice do you have for people about how to finally get that momentum? What do you see in your ability to coach people that finally gets them unstuck to finally get in momentum of success?
Ooh, that is a great question. So I think mindset wise, the big thing is done is better than perfect. Like, shit has not been pretty. It's been ugly behind the scenes, oh shit. But I've learned so much from it. And any successful person will tell you, like, when you're starting out, done is better than perfect. Like, just take massive imperfect action and you are going to feel like shit some days. That's totally cool. Just keep chugging along. Take care of yourself. Your business works because you work. It was a Garrett White talked about that a lot at one of the Funnel Hacking Lives. Like, your business works because you work. Like, really, the main thing is like focusing on where you need to get better and focusing on that area and taking care of that area. And the two big things that are more tactical are build your audience. Scott Olford always says there are 3 types of currency. There's money, there's audience, and there's relationships. So what Facebook groups do helps you grow your audience, and with those interviews, it helps you grow your relationships. Like kind of what you're doing, Omar. You've done a great job of building your relationships on this podcast by inviting some awesome people onto this podcast, and you've interviewed some amazing people. So you're building up that relationship capital, and you also have that audience capital for this podcast. Same thing with the Facebook group. So really focus in on that. That creates the foundation for your offers, for the things that you're selling. And what's super important with your offers is that your first version is not gonna be your favorite version or is going to be fucking perfect. All you need to do is care about that first version and trust that that second, that third, that fourth version will get better and better and better. Whether it's a prototype for a car like Elon Musk put out the truck, like there are going to be different versions of that thing, right? And he's not perfectly happy with his first version, right? And they had versions before that. And same thing with your coaching, like putting that out there and knowing the first version is going to be imperfect. You just need to show up and care about your clients. And you need to be in alignment with your offer. Certainty and commitment. That's what it comes down to. Certain that you're selling the right thing and like that is your thing and you feel good about selling that and you're committed to selling that. that's the only way it's going to work, because if there's a little feeling of like, I don't know, like it's going to show up on your sales calls. So it's about getting closer and closer to 100% certainty as possible. Right. And then the main thing, if you're at 6 figures, holy shit, like that was tough. New level, new devil, but figuring out how systems work, how acquiring talent and training talent and helping your team or having your team build your vision for you, it's a whole different ball game. And all along the way, hire coaches, hire mentors, and read books. I've spent over $300,000 on coaching and mentors, and like over the past 2.5 years, I would not be here without coaches and mentors. And that's why I love being a coach and mentor, because it just dramatically changes people's lives when you have that person, or in masterminds, you have the group of people that can support you, because the people in your life are your life. So make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people. And a lot of times that's about paying into a group of people. Like I was in a fraternity, I paid into that group of people. It wasn't the best investment for that. I was a total shithead. And then I started buying into masterminds, and that took me from 6 figures to 7 figures. Right. So
dude, that's insane. And I love that you shared that, because it goes to show that like, no matter what you're dealing with, whether it was your challenges, with alcohol, and your challenges with focus and identity. And, to the degree most entrepreneurs would say they've been to some variation of needing to go to a Buddhist or meditate for a week or just kind of get away. It's because entrepreneurship takes so much out of you that sometimes you have nothing left but to go inside. Sometimes we all get caught up chasing the outside, forgetting that the core of the power comes from the inside. So thank you for sharing.
Can I talk about one more thing there on that? Absolutely. About going to the inside?
Yeah.
I go out and get coffee every day, go to this place called Better Buzz in Encinitas. And I was getting my coffee today, and I make sure that I don't look at my phone in the morning. Like that is a no-no to me, because I want to be proactive and not reactive in the morning.
For how long in the morning? Is it like an hour, or do you have a ritual for the time on that?
12 o'clock is when I can be reactive. So 12 o'clock in the morning, I have 5 a.m. to 12 p.m. blocked off just to be creative and focus on producing content, on creating SOPs, creating plans, strategically thinking. My morning is for that.
So you don't get to talk to anybody before 12?
No, not anymore. It used to not be that way.
Yeah.
But now that I'm in that visionary role, I need that space to create. Right. So I went to Better Buzz, and I was looking around, and there were 5 dudes that were waiting for their coffee, and all of their faces were in their phone, just looking down at their phone, trying to kill the time. And that is a dopamine addiction. That is needing, like, not being able to sit with yourself and have the space. And I've been there, and it sucks. Your brain starts to just scramble, and you can't focus. Mm-hmm. So I want to get that out there, that it is so critically important to create time for yourself where there is no screen time. And especially in the morning, like take time to strategically think and focus and plan out your day. Like I said, the 3 things on the whiteboard, like this is so freaking important. 7 o'clock every day, I take this computer, I take my phone, I take I have an iPad as well, and I put it in the closet. Mm-hmm. So it's not my environment. It doesn't trigger me. And I started doing
7 p.m. or
7 p.m. I put it all in the closet, and that way I put my Swanee glasses on that I have on right now. That allows me to be 100% focused with my girlfriend that I live with. And that has brought so much more love and connection into our relationship when I've created that space. And I think, and mind you, I haven't done this forever. It started this year, and it has been so powerful for me that I want more people to test it out and see if it's right for them. So if anybody gets anything out of this interview, please, please, please create space for yourself. to just get away from the screen time and the electronics, because there is a dopamine addiction there. And periodically on the weekends, I do dopamine detoxes where I just meditate and just chill. I don't eat any food that like has a bunch of sugar or a bunch of salt, very bland foods. And I basically sleep, nap, and meditate all day. And it is the ultimate reset with no screen time, no nothing like that. I think that shit will change humanity for the better, where people can be more present and think more logically. And I just feel like I really needed to get on my soapbox and say that, because I'm super passionate about that stuff.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
And you probably got a ton of clarity from that, huh? Moments of meditation. I was talking with one of my buddies, and he was telling me that, you know, sometimes sitting and meditating, or even if you're watching TV, but you're kind of like using that as a way to meditate, so to speak, right? More than like you're actually watching the TV, you know, you're just using it as time to relax or, you know, meditate or sleep or whatever. That in 3 hours of doing that, sometimes you can have a moment of clarity on a business move or a thing move that, while staring at your laptop and whiteboard in a stressed state, you're not going to think of, or you're not going to make a better decision on. And so like sometimes that can be the most productive thing you can do, more than actually, you know, this assumption that being on your laptop and being on phone calls and all this is productivity is not necessarily the case. Like sometimes you could be sitting down, like meditating, and then have an idea and go, oh, and you just see it through, because you see the 3-4 steps instead of just the one step when you're stressed. You know, have you found that to be the case?
Yeah, there was a quote that I heard recently, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it was like, horses die from hard work. So like, don't fucking work hard. Like you work hard, yes, 100%, but it needs to be focused. It needs to be on the right things. And my God, when I went to the Buddhist monastery and I got to clear away from everything, and I got to focus on like what was actually going into that in my mind, it's like what happened was like my mind was like a jar that was like that has mud and water shaken up. And then at the Buddhist monastery, it allowed it to clear away. And I was actually I was able to tap into myself. And the 2 books I read before going to the Buddhist monastery was The Great Work of Your Life by Stephen Cope, which talks all about Dharma and your purpose and your path. I really, really needed that. And then The Values Factor by Dr. DeMartini, about, really good book about finding your top 5 values. And one thing that stood out in that book is like the values are actually tangible things. And the things that I was missing was a community of friends, a significant other that I was super passionate about, and pick up sports. One of my values became pick up sports and doing that. And before quarantine, I was going to LA Fitness and playing basketball 4 days a week, and put that back into my life. And that changed everything, where I wasn't listening to what other people were saying that I was going to do, that I had to do, that I had to have this rockin' morning routine where I put MCT oil in my coffee and then I'll be like all good. It was like actually coming from me and actually like figuring out what lit me up. And that changed a lot for me. So space is so important to create for yourself. And another recommendation, I have the Muse headset somewhere. And the Muse headset is it helps you with meditation. So you put it on your head, it's Bluetooth, and it will tell you if you're going in or out of a meditative state. So it has a soundscape that is basically rain, and it will rain harder if you are going out of a meditative state, and birds will chirp if you're going into a meditative state. And it gamifies the whole thing. So if you hate meditating, this thing will really, really help you with that.
Dude, powerful. And I love that you bring up Dr. DeMartini, because I've been to his breakthrough experience. I've interviewed him twice and have actually paid for coaching. He offers one-on-one coaching. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
And he's been a game changer for me. I love Dr. DeMartini. A lot of people don't know about him, but his stuff's game changer. Have you heard of him speak at all?
No, I want to go to an event. I almost went to one in Miami.
Yeah, it's amazing. I highly recommend it. He's doing digital events too, but that's a sidebar.
Yeah.
But I love that you're into that too, Dr. DeMartini.
Yeah. He operates totally differently than any human on the planet. It's insane.
100%. And not only that, just to geek out for the audience here, and we have an interview coming up. If it's not out by the time you're watching this, search for it on the channel. But Dr. DeMartini talks about that, if you don't fill your day with high priority actions that inspire you, then by default, your day will fill up with low priority distractions that don't. So his
Oh
whole
yeah.
thing is like, his whole thing is about gamifying life and business the same way a 14-year-old kid plays video games. He doesn't have to discipline himself to play video games 10 hours a day, get good at all this. He's just so convicted to the thing that getting good, getting momentum is a byproduct of it. But it talks about most people in life don't let themselves play the video game because of the rules, expectations, and that other people put on them. Oh, you can't do this, you should do that. But when you know your values, then everything can be a video game, and you can give yourself to your craft fully. And when you look at the masters in life and business, whether it's Russell, ClickFunnels, or any entrepreneur in their endeavor or athlete in their sport, it's people who gave themselves fully to the craft. And the people that are stuck struggling are the people that are start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. And so he puts that point beautifully, and I think you hit the nail on the head with the hammer when you said that. That's about understanding your values, and like you said, realigning them. You were drinking, you realized that didn't work, you pivoted, you rode the roller coaster of ups and downs, and here you are today, 0 to multiple 7 figures. Who would have thought that if I would have told you, Andrew, in 2016, was just 4 years ago, hey, before your 27th, 28th birthday, you'll be approaching $3 million in revenue, what would you have said?
Insane. I went back to a journal entry. It wasn't even a journal entry because at that time I was so broken that I couldn't even think straight.
Right.
And I wrote down one of my goals was to make $250,000 by age 27. I blew that out of the fucking water. So it's insane. And in 2016, I was severely depressed. I was on Wellibutrin and Lexapro to curb my depression. And I just want everybody to know, if you're hearing this and this inspires you, but you don't know exactly how to do it, just put one step in front of the other. Remove bad shit from your life, such as things that are giving you huge dopamine hits, because I really feel like that is what keeps people stuck, is when they're coping instead of thriving. Mm-hmm. So coping with dopamine hits such as screen time, watching a bunch of YouTube videos, all of that shit, instead of taking the action. What changed my life was putting in the work at the gym, where I was thriving in that situation instead of coping with just a bunch of sugary foods and being a chunky monkey.
Yeah.
But yeah, the big distinction I made at that point is, am I doing this to cope right now, or am I doing this to thrive right now? And the more I was able to get the coping activities out of my life, the more I was able to put one step in front of the other and become the person that I actually wanted to become.
Dude, that's beautiful. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for being on the show. And dude, where can people find you? How can people get in touch? Work with you, all that.
Yeah, 100%. Add me on Facebook, Andrew KROEZE, KROEZE. You can go to tribeofbuyers.com. We have some free goodies there, and you can learn about all our programs. That's tribe, TRIBE, of buyers, BYERS.com. And we have a Andrew KROEZE on YouTube. I have a ton of videos. If you just want to go through those videos, it's pretty much like a course. I really don't hold back. So go in, dive in. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, very cool, man. Thank you so much for being on today, Andrew. And I hope everybody listening and watching this starts their Facebook group today. Take action on it. As you can see from Andrew's story, if you can build it organically, you can always scale with ads later. And instead of wasting money on ads, guessing and hoping and wishing, a group not only allows you to build your audience, not only allows you to test your audience, but allows you to see what works, allows you to see what doesn't work, and really connect with your people. And when you can do that and help meet their values, they'll have no problem meeting yours, and you can build a good business for life off that. So thank you so much, Andrew, for coming on and sharing that today, bro. Appreciate you.
Omar, thanks for having me, brother.
Awesome, guys. And for everybody tuning in, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to let Andrew know. Smash that subscribe, like button, comment, let us know any questions you have. Maybe we'll bring Andrew on for round 2 if you guys have any questions. Until next time, live strong, live with passion. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace. Thank you so much for listening. And if you found this content inspiring, valuable, and applicable, here's 4 ways I can help you apply some of it to grow your business and brand even further. Number 1, you can text me absolutely free at the number on your screen here, your most pressing business or branding question. Number 2, you can apply to be interviewed on the show in the description below. Number 3, if you'd like to learn how to do what I do and interview experts to grow your brand or business online, you can check out tpfacademy.com for my free on-demand training. And last but not least, number 4, if you'd like to work with me one-on-one in my consulting program, you can fill out the questionnaire in the description below titled Consulting and help us learn a little bit more about your business, your brand, where you're stuck, and where you'd like to go. And we'll get back to you right away to help you do exactly that. All right, guys, thank you so much for enjoying this video. Make sure to smash that subscribe button, like, comment, share with a friend if you thought it was valuable. And until next time, thank you for being one of the passionate few. I'll see you in the next video.